I was standing in my mother's living room when I heard her say I was too much work. 3 years of silence, and those were the first words that broke through. My brother agreed. My ex-fiancé laughed. And none of them knew I could hear every single word. My name is Maren Ortiz. I'm 27 years old. Before the accident, I worked at a daycare center in Portland and spent my weekends planning a wedding that never happened. I loved finger painting with toddlers and the sound of their giggles when we played chase during recess. I was engaged to a man who promised forever. I had a family who called every Sunday. Then a drunk driver ran a stop sign on a frozen January night, and my world went silent. The crash didn't just take my hearing. It took everything else too. Trent left me 6 weeks after the accident. He sat on the edge of my hospital bed, wouldn't look me in the eye, and said he couldn't picture a future like this. Like this. Like I was broken furniture, he didn't want to move into his new apartment. He walked out while I was still learning to read lips, still crying myself to sleep every night because I couldn't hear my own voice anymore. Mom changed too. Denise stopped asking how I felt and started sighing whenever I entered a room. She'd tap her fingers on tables when I didn't understand her fast enough. She'd write notes instead of facing me, her handwriting getting sloppier, like even that was too much effort. My older brother Cole started treating me like a child who needed constant supervision. He'd make decisions without asking, talk to doctors over my head, and pat my shoulder like I was a confused dog. But 6 weeks ago, something happened that changed everything. A doctor told me about an experimental surgery. New technology. High success rate. They could restore partial hearing, maybe even most of it. I sat in that office and made a decision nobody knew about. I didn't tell Mom. I didn't tell Cole. I definitely didn't tell Trent, who still came around for Sunday dinners like he was some kind of saint for maintaining ties with my family. I wanted this one thing to be mine. The surgery worked better than anyone expected. 2 weeks after the procedure, I heard a car horn. Then rain on my apartment window. Then my neighbor's dog barking at the mailman. I cried for an hour straight, pressed against the wall, listening to the hum of my refrigerator like it was a symphony. But I didn't tell anyone. Not yet. I had a plan. Christmas was 7 weeks away. I'd surprise them all on Christmas morning. I'd walk into Mom's house and say Merry Christmas out loud, and they'd cry tears of joy, and maybe everything would go back to how it used to be. Maybe Trent would realize he made a mistake. Maybe Mom would hug me like she meant it. Maybe Cole would stop looking at me with pity. That was the plan. Until this afternoon. I went to Mom's house for our usual Thursday visit. She was in the kitchen with Cole and Trent. They didn't know I'd let myself in through the side door. They didn't know I was standing in the hallway, holding my breath, hearing their voices for the first time in 3 years. I don't know how much longer I can do this, Mom said. Her voice was tired, annoyed. She's too much work, Cole. Every single week, it's the same thing. My hand froze on the door frame. She can't function without us, Cole replied. You've seen her. She'd fall apart if we weren't constantly checking in. I know. Mom sighed heavy and long. But I'm exhausted. I'm 62 years old. I shouldn't have to manage a grown woman's entire life. Manage. Like I was a problem to solve. At least you got out, Cole said, and I knew he was talking to Trent. Trent laughed. Actually laughed. Man, leaving was like escaping a responsibility I never signed up for. I felt guilty for about a month, but honestly, best decision I ever made. The room tilted. My chest went tight. You dodged a bullet, Mom said. I love my daughter, but this isn't the life I imagined at this age. Cole made a sound of agreement. We'll figure something out. Maybe after Christmas, we can look into group homes or something. She needs more care than we can give. Group homes. They were planning to put me away. I stood there, every word carving into my chest like glass. 3 years I'd spent learning to live in silence. 3 years of depending on these people, believing they were helping because they loved me. And the whole time, they saw me as a burden. An inconvenience. A responsibility to escape. Subscribe so you never miss what happens when the people you trust show their true colors. My legs were shaking. My vision blurred. But I didn't cry. Not yet. I pulled out my phone, opened the voice memo app, and hit record. Then I walked into the kitchen. All 3 of them jumped. Mom's hand flew to her chest. Cole's face went red. Trent stood up so fast his chair scraped the floor. I couldn't let them know. Not yet. So I kept my face blank and signed, "What's wrong?" "Nothing, honey," Mom said too quickly, her hands moving in slow, exaggerated signs like I was stupid. "We were just talking. You surprised us." I nodded. Signed that I was leaving. Signed that I'd see her Sunday. "Okay, sweetie," she said, relief flooding her expression. "Drive safe." Cole walked me to the door, his hand on my back like I might trip over nothing. "You good?" he signed. I signed yes. He smiled, closed the door, and I heard the lock click. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, shaking so hard I couldn't turn the key. The recording was still running. I stopped it, saved it, and stared at my phone screen until my eyes burned. They wanted me gone. They were counting down the days until they could ship me off somewhere and forget about me. Christmas was 6 weeks away. But my surprise wasn't going to be what I'd planned anymore. I was going to give them something they'd never forget. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the sounds I'd missed for 3 years. The clock ticking. The heater clicking on. The wind rattling my window. And I made a new plan. If they thought I was too much work, I'd show them what work really looked like. If they wanted me out of their lives, I'd make sure they understood exactly what they were losing. And if they believed I'd fall apart without them, I'd prove just how strong I'd become in the silence they never bothered to understand. I wasn't going to tell them I could hear. Not on Christmas. Not ever. Not until I was ready. And when I was ready, the whole world would hear what they said when they thought I couldn't. I walked into Mom's living room the next Sunday, and they had no idea I'd heard everything. Denise was setting the table. Cole was pouring wine. Trent was on the couch scrolling through his phone like he belonged there. They all looked up when I entered, and their smiles were so fake I almost laughed. "Marin." Mom's hands moved in careful signs. "Come sit, honey. Dinner's almost ready." I nodded. Smiled. Played the part I'd been playing for 3 years. The helpless daughter who needed managing. The burden they couldn't wait to unload. But this time, my phone was recording in my jacket pocket. Cole pulled out my chair like I couldn't do it myself. Trent waved from across the room. Mom brought out a roast chicken, and we ate in the same painful silence we always did, except now I could hear their forks scraping plates, their forced small talk, the way they sighed when they thought I wasn't looking. Have you ever sat at a table with people who were counting the minutes until you left? It changes everything. After dinner, I signed that I needed the bathroom. They nodded, relieved for the break. I walked down the hall, left the bathroom door cracked, and listened. "She seems okay today," Cole said. "She's never okay," Mom replied. "She just hides it better some days." Trent laughed. "You think she even knows how much you do for her?" "Probably not," Cole said. "She lives in her own world now." I saved the recording. Walked back out. Hugged Mom goodbye. Let Cole walk me to my car again. "Love you, sis," he signed. I signed it back. But I didn't mean it anymore. This went on for 2 weeks. Sunday dinners. Thursday check-ins. Every single time, I recorded them. And every single time, I discovered something worse. One Thursday, I heard Mom on the phone with someone. "Yes, I'm her representative pay. The disability checks come to me." A pause. "Oh, I use it for her care. Groceries, bills, that sort of thing. Except I paid my own rent. Bought my own groceries. Hadn't seen a cent of that money in 3 years. I pulled up my bank statements that night. Cross-referenced them with the Social Security website. My disability payments were $1,200 a month. For 3 years. That's over $40,000. And I'd never seen any of it. Mom was stealing from me. If you've ever been betrayed by the person who is supposed to protect you, you know this kind of anger. Comment below if you felt it too. The next Sunday, I arrived early. Let myself in through the side door again. Cole was in the living room on the phone. "Yeah, Aunt Ginny, I know it's hard," he was saying. "But Marin's not the same anymore. The accident changed her mentally, not just physically. She blames everyone, pushes people away. It's better if you keep your distance." My aunt. He was lying to my aunt. "She won't take calls from anyone," Cole continued. Trust me, I've tried to help her reconnect, but she refuses. It's really sad. I'd never refused anything. I'd never even known anyone was trying to reach me. I stayed quiet, kept recording, walked in 5 minutes later like I'd just arrived. Hey, Marin. Cole signed, all smiles. Good to see you. I wanted to scream. Instead, I smiled back. That week, I started digging. I called my phone company, got records of blocked numbers. 7 family members had tried to call me over the past 3 years. Every single call had been blocked on my account. I never changed those settings. But Cole had access to my phone plan because he'd insisted on helping me manage things after the accident. He'd cut me off from everyone. Then I found the cards. I was cleaning out a box of old mail at Mom's house, stuff she'd told me to take home, when I saw them. Greeting cards, birthday cards, Christmas cards, all addressed to my grandmother in my handwriting. All returned unopened with return to sender stamped on them. I'd sent those cards. I'd written long notes inside, telling Grandma Joan I missed her, asking why she never visited anymore. And they'd all come back. I thought she didn't want to see me. I thought I'd lost her too. But the address was right. The stamps were fine. Someone had written return to sender and sent them back before they ever reached her. My hands were shaking when I found Grandma Joan's number. I hadn't called her in 3 years because I thought she hated me. I thought the accident made her ashamed of me. I texted her instead. Grandma, it's Marin. Can we talk? She called 30 seconds later. I almost didn't answer because I'd forgotten what her voice sounded like. But I hit the button, put the phone to my ear, and heard her say, Marin? Baby, is that really you? It's me, I whispered. She started crying. I thought you never wanted to speak to me again. What? Grandma, no. Cole told me you blamed us for the accident. Said you were angry at the whole family for not visiting you in the hospital enough. He said you wanted space, that calling you would make things worse. My throat closed up. He lied. What? He lied about everything. My voice cracked. I sent you cards. I wanted to see you. I thought you didn't want to see me. Grandma Joan went quiet for a long time. When she spoke again, her voice was ice. That boy told me you wanted nothing to do with me. He said calling you would set back your recovery. I never said that. I never wanted space. Grandma, I've missed you so much. She was crying again, but this time it was different. Angry tears. What else did he lie about? So I told her. The money. The blocked calls. The cards. The conversations I'd overheard. Everything. When I finished, she was silent for a full minute. Then she said, I'm having Christmas dinner at my house this year. And you're going to be there. So is everyone else. Your mother, your brother, and anyone else who wants to come. And Marin. Yeah, bring those recordings. Subscribe before you miss what happens when the truth comes out. This is about to get worse. I spent the next 3 weeks gathering evidence. I printed bank statements, made copies of the returned cards, saved every recording to 3 different places. I even contacted a lawyer just to understand my options. Turns out, stealing from someone's disability payments is a federal crime. So is fraud. So is financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult. Mom could go to jail. Cole could too. And they had no idea it was coming. Trent kept showing up to Sunday dinners. One week, he brought someone. A woman. Blonde, pretty, laughing at his jokes like he was the funniest man alive. This is Brooklyn, he said, his arm around her waist. Mom's face went tight. Cole looked uncomfortable. But they let her stay for dinner. I sat across from them, watching Trent feed her bites of bread, watching her giggle and touch his arm. And I realized he'd moved on a long time ago. Probably before he even left me. He just kept coming around to keep up appearances, to play the good guy who still supported his ex's family. After dinner, I pretended to leave. Sat in my car. Waited 10 minutes. Then snuck back to the side door. Why would you bring her here? Mom hissed. Marin was right there. She can't hear us, Denise. Relax. It's disrespectful, Cole said. Trent laughed. Come on. Marin doesn't care. She barely knows what's happening half the time. And, honestly, Brooklyn wanted to meet you guys. I told her how supportive you've been through everything. Supportive, Mom repeated. Yeah. I mean, I dodged a bullet, but you guys are still stuck with her. That takes patience. Brooklyn laughed. You weren't kidding. She really just sits there, doesn't she? My stomach turned. But I kept recording. We're looking at group homes, Cole said quietly. After Christmas. She needs professional care. Good idea, Trent said. You've done enough. I left before I did something I'd regret. Sat in my car. Stared at the recording app. 42 minutes of pure betrayal saved on my phone. Christmas was 2 weeks away. Grandma Joan had invited the whole family. Aunts, uncles, cousins I hadn't seen since before the accident. Everyone who'd been told I didn't want to see them. Everyone who believed Cole's lies. They were all going to be in one room. And I was going to show them exactly who my family really was. The night before Christmas Eve, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Trent's voice, the way he laughed when he said he dodged a bullet. I kept hearing Mom complain about how much work I was. I kept seeing Cole's fake smile every time he signed, I love you. But I also kept thinking about Grandma Joan. The way her voice broke when she realized Cole had lied. The way she said, bring those recordings. Would you have done the same thing? Tell me in the comments if you think I'm going too far. I wasn't just angry anymore. I was ready. Ready to stop pretending. Ready to stop being the burden they wanted to forget. Ready to show them that silence doesn't mean weakness. Christmas morning, I woke up at 5. Put on a red dress. Did my makeup. Looked at myself in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. 3 years ago, I was soft. Trusting. I believed people were good. Now I knew better. I drove to Grandma Joan's house with a Bluetooth speaker in my bag and my phone charged to 100%. The recordings were queued up. The bank statements were printed. The evidence was ready. When I pulled into her driveway, my hands were steady. My heart was calm. I wasn't scared anymore. I was ready to make them hear me. Grandma Joan opened the door before I could knock. She pulled me into a hug, so tight I couldn't breathe, and for the first time in 3 years, I felt safe. Her house smelled like cinnamon rolls and coffee. The Christmas tree in the corner was covered in lights. Everything looked warm and perfect, and I almost cried because I'd forgotten what home was supposed to feel like. You ready for this? She whispered in my ear. I nodded against her shoulder. Good. Because they have no idea what's coming. She led me inside. The living room was already full. Aunt Ginny was on the couch. Uncle Paul was pouring coffee. My cousins Rhett and Bria were arguing over a board game. People I hadn't seen in years, all gathered in one place, and when they saw me, the room went quiet. Aunt Ginny stood up slowly. Marin? I waved. Smiled. Signed hello. Her eyes filled with tears. I didn't think you'd want to see me. Cole told her that. Cole told all of them that. Uncle Paul walked over, hugged me carefully like I might break. We missed you, kid. I wanted to tell him I missed him too. That I'd tried to reach out. That I never wanted space. But I couldn't. Not yet. So I just hugged him back and let him think I was still deaf, still broken, still the Marin they all pitied. More family arrived. The house filled with noise. Laughter. Christmas music. And then the door opened and Mom walked in with Cole right behind her. They froze when they saw me. Marin, Mom said, her face going pale. I didn't know you'd be here. Grandma Joan smiled, sweet as sugar. Of course she's here. It's Christmas. Family should be together. Cole's jaw tightened. He knew something was wrong. He just didn't know what yet. Trent showed up 20 minutes later. With Brooklyn. He walked in like he owned the place, her hand in his, and the whole room went silent again. Hi everyone, Trent said, clearly not expecting such a crowd. This is Brooklyn. I hope it's okay that I brought her. Grandma Joan's smile didn't reach her eyes. The more the merrier. Are you subscribed yet? Because what happens next is going to blow your mind. We all sat down for dinner. 20 people crammed around Grandma's extended table, passing plates of turkey and mashed potatoes and rolls. I sat between Grandma Joan and Aunt Ginny, and across from me were Mom, Cole, and Trent with his new girlfriend. Brooklyn kept staring at me, leaning over to whisper things to Trent, giggling. At one point, she said loudly, "It must be so hard for you, Marin." I can't imagine. I just smiled. Nodded. Let her think whatever she wanted. Halfway through dinner, Grandma Jones stood up and tapped her glass with a fork. The room went quiet. I want to thank you all for coming, she said. It's been too long since we've all been together. And I think we can all agree that family is the most important thing we have. Everyone nodded. Murmured agreement. So I'd like us to go around the table, Grandma Joan continued, and share something we're grateful for this year. Mom shifted in her seat. Cole stared at his plate. Trent looked uncomfortable. Aunt Ginny went first. Said she was grateful for her health. Uncle Paul said he was grateful for his grandkids. It went around the table, person by person, each one saying something nice and generic. When it got to Mom, she hesitated. I'm grateful for my family. For my children. For the strength to keep going even when things are hard. Cole nodded along. Same. I'm grateful for the people who need me. Trent cleared his throat. I'm grateful for new beginnings. For moving forward. Brooklyn squeezed his hand. Me too. Then it was my turn. Everyone looked at me, waiting for me to sign something. Waiting for someone to translate. Waiting for me to stay silent like I always did. Instead, I stood up. And I spoke. I'm grateful, I said, my voice clear and loud, that I can finally hear again. The room exploded. Gasps. Shouts. Someone dropped a fork. Mom's face went white. Cole's mouth fell open. Trent actually stood up, his chair scraping the floor. What? Mom started. I had surgery 2 months ago, I continued, looking right at her. It worked. I can hear everything now. Every word. Every conversation. Every lie. Aunt Ginny's hand flew to her mouth. Uncle Paul looked confused. Grandma Joan just smiled, leaned back in her chair, and watched. Marin, why didn't you tell us? Cole said, his voice shaking. Because I wanted to surprise you, I said. I wanted to walk in on Christmas and see your faces light up. I wanted to believe you'd be happy for me. We are happy, Mom said quickly. Sweetie, this is wonderful. But then I heard you. I pulled out my phone. I heard what you really think of me. The room went dead silent. Cole's face drained of color. Marin, wait. Let me play it for you, I said. I connected my phone to the Bluetooth speaker Grandma Joan had placed on the table. Let everyone hear what you said when you thought I couldn't. Marin, don't, Mom whispered. But I hit play. Mom's voice filled the room. She's too much work, Cole. Every single week, it's the same thing. Aunt Ginny gasped. Uncle Paul's face hardened. Cole's voice. She can't function without us. She'd fall apart if we weren't constantly checking in. My cousins looked at each other, shocked. Then Trent. Leaving was like escaping a responsibility I never signed up for. Brooklyn pulled her hand away from him, her eyes wide. Mom again. I love my daughter, but this isn't the life I imagined. The recording kept playing. Every cruel word. Every dismissive comment. Every lie they'd told about me to justify their frustration. 2 minutes of pure betrayal echoing through Grandma Joan's dining room while my entire family sat frozen. When it ended, no one spoke. Then I pulled out the bank statements. Slid them across the table to Mom. You've been stealing my disability checks, I said. $43,000 over 3 years. I never saw a cent. Mom's hands were shaking. I used that for your care. I pay my own rent. My own bills. My own groceries. I looked at Aunt Ginny. And Cole told everyone I didn't want to see them. He blocked your calls. He returned my cards to Grandma Joan so she'd think I hated her. Aunt Ginny turned to Cole, her face twisted in anger. You told me she blamed us for the accident. I was trying to protect her, Cole stammered. She was fragile. You were trying to control her, Grandma Joan cut in, her voice sharp. You isolated her so you could manage her life without anyone questioning you. Uncle Paul stood up. Is this true, Cole? Cole opened his mouth, closed it, looked at Mom for help. But Mom was staring at the bank statements, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry, she whispered. Marin, I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't give me back 3 years, I said. Trent tried to leave. Actually stood up and started backing toward the door. But Grandma Joan blocked his path. Sit down, she said. I don't think I should be here. Sit down. He sat. Brooklyn looked like she wanted to disappear. I looked around the table. At my family. At the people who'd believed lies about me. At the people who'd abandoned me because it was easier than asking questions. I spent 3 years thinking I was the problem, I said. Thinking I was too broken to deserve love. And the whole time, the people who were supposed to protect me were stealing from me, lying about me, and planning to put me in a home so they wouldn't have to deal with me anymore. Rhett, my cousin, looked horrified. They were going to put you in a home? After Christmas, I said. That was the plan. Mom was sobbing now. Cole had his head in his hands. Trent was staring at the floor. Aunt Ginny stood up, walked over to me, and pulled me into a hug. I'm so sorry we believed him. I'm so sorry we didn't reach out anyway. One by one, my aunts and uncles and cousins came over. Apologizing. Crying. Angry at themselves for trusting Cole, for not questioning the story they'd been told. And Mom and Cole just sat there, watching their lies fall apart in front of everyone. Grandma Joan cleared her throat. Denise, you're going to pay back every dollar you took. And if you don't, Marin has every right to press charges. Mom nodded, still crying. And Cole, Grandma Joan continued, you're no longer welcome in my home until you make this right. Grandma, get out. He stood up slowly. Looked at me one last time. I was trying to help you. No, I said. You were trying to control me. There's a difference. He left without another word. Trent stood up too. I should go. Yes, you should, Grandma Joan said. And take your girlfriend with you. Brooklyn was already halfway to the door. When they were gone, the room felt lighter. The air easier to breathe. My family surrounded me, asking questions, apologizing, trying to understand how they'd missed so much. And for the first time in 3 years, I felt like I wasn't alone anymore. But it wasn't over yet. Not even close. Mom didn't leave. She sat at that table, mascara streaking down her face, hands shaking around a napkin she'd twisted into knots. Everyone else had moved to the living room, giving us space, but I could feel them listening, waiting to see if Denise Ortiz would finally tell the truth. Marin, she whispered. Please, let me explain. Explain what? I stayed standing. Didn't sit back down. Didn't make this easier for her. Explain how you stole from me? Or explain how you called me too much work. I never meant, her voice broke. I was overwhelmed. I didn't know how to help you. And the money, I thought. You thought what? That I wouldn't notice. She flinched. I thought I was using it for you. The gas money to drive to your appointments. The groceries I brought over. I have receipts, Mom. I pulled out my phone again. Every grocery run I paid for. Every tank of gas. Every bill. You didn't spend a dime on me. You just took it. Aunt Ginny appeared in the doorway. Denise, is she telling the truth? Mom closed her eyes. Nodded. Jesus Christ, Ginny muttered. Your own daughter? I was going to pay her back, Mom said desperately. I was just borrowing it. I had credit card debt and I thought. You thought you'd steal from a disabled person? Uncle Paul's voice came from behind Ginny. From your own child? The room fell silent again. Mom covered her face with her hands. I should have felt victorious. I should have felt powerful. But all I felt was tired. I want every dollar back, I said quietly. And I want you to admit to everyone what you did. Not just here. To the whole family. Cousins, friends, everyone. Mom looked up, eyes red. Marin, that's the deal. You pay me back, you tell the truth, and maybe, I don't press charges. Her face crumbled. But she nodded. Grandma Jones stepped into the room then, her expression carved from stone. And one more thing, Denise. Mom looked at her. I'm changing my will. Everything I have goes to Marin now. The house. The savings. All of it. Mom, no, Denise started to stand. Sit down. Grandma Jones' voice could have frozen fire. You had 3 years to do right by your daughter. 3 years to be the mother she needed. And instead, you stole from her, complained about her, and planned to abandon her. If this happened to you, would you press charges? Comment below. I raised you better than this, Grandma Joan continued. And I'm ashamed of what you've become. Mom looked like she'd been slapped. She opened her mouth, closed it, then stood up and walked out without another word. The front door slammed. Through the window, I watched her car peel out of the driveway. Aunt Ginny put her hand on my shoulder. "You okay?" I nodded. But I wasn't sure if I was lying. The rest of Christmas was strange. Everyone tried to act normal, but nothing was normal. My cousins kept hugging me. Uncle Paul kept apologizing for not reaching out. Rhett told me he'd tried to visit me in the hospital once, but Cole told him I wasn't taking visitors. "I should have pushed harder," he said. "I should have known something was wrong." "It's not your fault," I told him. Cole's really good at lying. Bria, his sister, shook her head. "I always thought he was the responsible one. The good son. Turns out he was just a manipulative jerk." We spent the rest of the evening playing games, drinking hot chocolate, pretending like the world hadn't just exploded. But every time I looked at Grandma Joan, she was watching me with this sad, knowing expression. Like she understood that winning doesn't always feel like winning. Around 9, my phone buzzed. A text from Trent. "We need to talk." I showed it to Grandma Joan. She raised an eyebrow. "You gonna answer?" "Should I? Do you want closure?" I thought about it. About the man who'd promised forever and left me when forever got hard. About his laugh when he said he dodged a bullet. About Brooklyn's hand in his. "Yeah," I said. "I think I do." I texted back. "Meet me at the park on 5th. Tomorrow. Noon." He replied immediately. "I'll be there." That night, lying in Grandma Joan's guest room, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the look on Mom's face when Grandma Joan said she was changing the will. The way Cole's hands shook when I played the recording. The way Trent's new girlfriend pulled away from him when she heard who he really was. Justice was supposed to feel good, wasn't it? But all I felt was empty. The next day, I drove to the park. It was cold, gray, the kind of day that makes everything look washed out. Trent was already there, sitting on a bench, hands in his pockets. He looked smaller than I remembered. I sat down next to him. Didn't say anything. Just waited. "I'm sorry," he said finally. "For what?" "For leaving." "For what I said." "For all of it." "I watched a kid throw a ball for a dog." "Do you mean that? Or are you just sorry I found out?" He didn't answer right away. That told me everything. "Brooklyn broke up with me," he said quietly. "Last night. Said she couldn't be with someone who talked about his ex like that. Good for her." "Marin, you called me a responsibility you never signed up for," I said, turning to look at him. "You laughed about leaving me. You brought your new girlfriend to my family's house and let her mock me to my face." His eyes were red. I was angry. I felt trapped. "When you lost your hearing, I didn't know how to handle it. So you left." "So I left," he repeated. "And I regret it. Every day. But I can't take it back." "No," I said. "You can't." He looked at me, really looked at me, and for a second I saw the man I used to love. The one who brought me coffee in bed. The one who danced with me in the kitchen. The one who promised forever. But that man was gone. If he ever really existed. "I hope you find someone who deserves you," he said quietly. I stood up. "I hope you find someone who makes you want to be better." Then I walked away. And this time I didn't look back. Weeks passed. Mom started paying me back, $200 at a time. It was going to take years. But at least it was something. She sent long texts apologizing, explaining, asking if we could talk. I didn't respond to most of them. Cole called once. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail saying he was sorry, that he thought he was helping, that he never meant to hurt me. I deleted it. But Grandma Joan kept her promise. She changed the will. Made it official. And she told me I could stay with her as long as I wanted. "This house is too big for one old lady anyway," she said. So I moved in, packed up my tiny apartment, and brought everything to her house. It felt like starting over. Like being given a second chance at a life I thought I'd lost. I enrolled in online classes. Teaching certification. It was something I'd wanted to do before the accident, and now I had the time, the space, the support. Grandma Joan would quiz me on child development theories while we cooked dinner. She'd help me practice lesson plans. She'd tell me stories about teaching back in the 70s, and I'd laugh until my stomach hurt. One night, she asked me if I was happy. I thought about it. Really thought about it. "I'm getting there," I said. She smiled. "That's all any of us can do." 2 months after Christmas, I got a job offer. Part-time assistant at an elementary school. It wasn't much, but it was a start. And on my first day, standing in a classroom full of 8-year-olds, listening to their voices and their laughter and their questions, I realized something. I wasn't broken. I never was. I was just surrounded by people who wanted me to believe I was. But not anymore. Subscribe if this story moved you. And tell me in the comments, would you have forgiven them? 3 months after Christmas, I stood in front of a community center classroom, looking at 12 faces staring back at me. Some were deaf. Some were hard of hearing. Some were family members trying to learn. And all of them looked as lost as I'd felt 3 years ago. My name is Marin, I said, signing as I spoke. And I'm here because I know what it's like to lose your hearing and feel like you've lost everything else too. A woman in the back row wiped her eyes. A teenage boy nodded. An older man squeezed his wife's hand. This was my support group. My idea. My project. And it was working. After class, a woman named Heather approached me. She was maybe 50, with graying hair and tired eyes. Can I ask you something? Of course. How did you stop being angry? I thought about Mom's texts. About Cole's voicemail. About the money slowly being paid back. About the family members who'd reached out to apologize. About Trent walking away in that park. I'm not sure I have, I admitted. But I'm learning that anger can be useful. It can push you forward. It can make you fight for yourself. The trick is not letting it become the only thing you feel. She nodded slowly. My daughter stopped talking to me after I lost my hearing. Said I was too hard to communicate with. My chest tightened. I'm sorry. She texted me yesterday. Said she wants to try again. Are you going to let her? Heather smiled, sad and small. I don't know yet. Is that terrible? No, I said. It's honest. Walking out of the community center that day, I felt lighter. Like I'd found something I didn't know I was looking for. Purpose, maybe. Or just proof that I wasn't alone in this. Grandma Joan was waiting in the car. She'd driven me because my car was in the shop. How'd it go? Good, I said. Really good. Proud of you, kiddo. I leaned my head against the window, watching the city pass by. Portland looked different now. Brighter. Like someone had turned up the saturation. You hear from your mom? Grandma Joan asked carefully. She texted this morning. Said she paid another $200. That's something. Yeah. We drove in silence for a while. Then Grandma Joan said, you know you don't have to forgive her, right? No matter what anyone says. I know. But you also don't have to hate her forever. I looked at her. What would you do? She was quiet for a long moment. I'd wait. See if she actually changes. Talk is cheap. Action is what matters. That felt right. So that's what I did. I waited. April came. I finished my teaching certification. Got hired at Riverside Elementary as a full-time third-grade teacher. The principal, Ms. Valdez, told me they'd never had a deaf teacher before, but she believed I'd be perfect for the job. Kids need to see all kinds of people succeeding, she said. You'll show them that different doesn't mean less. My first day, I was terrified. What if the kids couldn't understand me? What if parents complained? What if I proved everyone right that I couldn't handle this? But then a little girl named Quinn raised her hand and asked, "Can you teach us sign language?" And I smiled. Absolutely. By the end of the first week, my entire class knew the alphabet in ASL. By the end of the month, they were signing full sentences. Parents started emailing, saying their kids were teaching them at home. The principal called me into her office, and I thought I was in trouble. Instead, she said, the district wants you to start a sign language program for all grade levels. I almost cried. Work became my safe place. Those kids didn't pity me. They didn't treat me like I was fragile. They just loved learning, loved the novelty of a new language, loved having a teacher who was different. One afternoon, a boy named Caleb stayed after class. He was quiet, shy, always in the back row. Ms. Ortiz, he said softly. Yeah, Caleb. My grandma is going deaf. She's really sad about it. My heart squeezed. I'm sorry to hear that. Can you talk to her? Maybe it would help. So I did. I met his grandmother, Rosa, at a coffee shop. She was 72, losing her hearing to age and terrified of becoming a burden. Everyone treats me different now, she said. Like I'm stupid because I can't hear. I know that feeling. We talked for 2 hours. I told her about the support group, about resources, about hearing aids and cochlear implants and adaptive technology, about how life doesn't end when sound fades. When we left, she hugged me tight. Thank you for giving me hope. And I realized that's what I'd been doing all along. Not just surviving, not just getting revenge, but rebuilding hope from the ashes of betrayal. May brought something unexpected. I was at the grocery store when I ran into Cole. We both froze in the cereal aisle, staring at each other like deer in headlights. Marin, he said quietly. Cole. Silence. Awkward and heavy. I've been going to therapy, he said finally. Trying to figure out why I did what I did. And I think I was scared. Of losing control. Of you not needing me anymore. He looked at the floor. I know that's not an excuse. No, it's not. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know I'm trying to be better. I studied his face. He looked older. Tired. Like the weight of what he'd done was finally sinking in. Good, I said. Keep trying. Then I walked away. Not because I hated him, but because I didn't owe him my time. June came. Mom called. Actually called, not texted. I stared at my phone for 3 rings before answering. Marin? Yeah. I paid off half the money. I wanted you to know. Okay. Silence. Can we have coffee? She asked. Just to talk. No pressure. I thought about Grandma Jones' advice. Wait. See if she changes. Maybe, I said. I'm not ready yet. I understand. Her voice cracked. I'm proud of you. For the teaching job. For everything. Thanks. We hung up. And I didn't cry. I just felt neutral. Like maybe someday we'd find our way back to each other. But not today. July brought someone new. His name was Weston. He was a music teacher at Riverside, with kind eyes and a smile that felt genuine. We met in the teacher's lounge, bonding over bad coffee and lesson plan frustrations. You're the sign language teacher, right? He asked. That's me. My sister's deaf. I've been trying to learn ASL for years, but I'm terrible at it. I could teach you. His face lit up. Really? So I did. We met twice a week after school, practicing signs and talking about teaching and life and everything in between. He made me laugh. He listened when I talked. He never once treated me like I was fragile. One evening, after a particularly good lesson, he asked, would you want to get dinner sometime? Not as teacher colleagues. As more. I hesitated. Not because I didn't want to, but because trusting someone felt impossible after Trent. I'm not good at this, I admitted. Good at what? Believing someone will stay. He nodded slowly. I get that. But I'm not going anywhere. So whenever you're ready, I'll be here. And somehow, that was exactly what I needed to hear. We went to dinner. Then coffee. Then a movie. And slowly, carefully, I let him in. August came. The support group grew. We had 25 members now. People from all over the city. And every week, we shared stories of loss and adaptation and survival. One night, I stood in front of them and said, I used to think losing my hearing was the worst thing that ever happened to me. But it wasn't. The worst thing was believing I was less because of it. That I was a burden. That I didn't deserve love or respect or a future. Everyone was quiet, listening. But here's what I learned. Silence showed me who people really were. It stripped away the fake smiles and polite words and showed me the truth. And yeah, that truth was ugly. My mom stole from me. My brother lied about me. My fiancé abandoned me. A few people nodded, tears in their eyes. But silence also showed me who I really was. Strong. Capable. Worth fighting for. And when I got my hearing back, I didn't just hear sound. I heard my own voice. And I decided it was worth listening to. The room erupted in applause. People stood, hugged each other, cried and laughed and shared their own stories. And I realized this was it. This was healing. Not forgetting. Not pretending it never happened. But choosing to build something new from the broken pieces. September came. School started again. My third graders from last year ran up to me in the halls, signing hello and asking if they could still come to my classroom. New students joined my class, eager to learn this cool new language their friends knew. Weston and I went on more dates. He met Grandma Joan, who immediately loved him. "This one's a keeper," she whispered to me. And maybe he was. October came. Mom finished paying back the money. All $43,000. She sent me a final text. "I know money doesn't fix what I did, but I hope it's a start." I didn't respond right away. I let myself sit with it. Feel it. Process it. Then I texted back, "It's a start. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But acknowledgement." A door left slightly open. November came. Thanksgiving. Grandma Joan invited the whole family again, including Mom and Cole. "You don't have to come if they're here," she told me. But I thought about it. About the months I'd spent rebuilding. About the life I'd created. About the strength I'd found. "I'll be there," I said. And I was. Mom and Cole sat on the opposite end of the table. They were quiet. Respectful. They didn't try to hug me or apologize again. They just existed in the same space, giving me room to breathe. At one point, Cole caught my eye. He signed, "I'm sorry." I signed back, "I know." It wasn't forgiveness, but it was something. December came. 1 year since I'd overheard that conversation. 1 year since my world shattered and rebuilt itself into something stronger. I was sitting in my classroom after school, grading papers, when Weston knocked on the door. "Hey," he said. "You busy?" "Never too busy for you." He smiled. Walked in. Sat on the edge of my desk. "I wanted to ask you something." "Okay." "My family's having Christmas dinner. And I'd really like you to come. Meet everyone. If you're ready." My chest tightened. Not with fear. With something else. Hope, maybe. "I'd love to," I said. He kissed my forehead. "Good. Because my mom's been asking about you for weeks." That night, driving home to Grandma Joan's house, I thought about everything that had changed. The family I'd lost. The family I'd found. The voice I'd discovered. The life I'd built. Betrayal taught me that family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up when the world goes quiet. And when you find your voice again, use it to speak your truth. I parked in the driveway. Sat in the car for a moment. Listened to the rain on the roof. The wind in the trees. The sound of my own breathing. And I smiled. Because I wasn't broken. I was free. If this story moved you, subscribe. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And tell me in the comments, would you have forgiven them? Or would you have walked away for good? Either way, I hope you know this. You are not a burden. You are not too much. And you deserve people who see your worth even when the world goes quiet. Thank you for listening to my story. This is Marin Ortiz. And I'm just getting started.